Cameron Indoor Stadium, home of the Duke Blue Devils. Arguably the best home venue in college basketball. And for me, from a basketball fan perspective, it is the mecca of college basketball. A place I always wanted to visit, but realistically never dreamed I would. I can point to the exact time that I became a Duke basketball fan. It was the semifinal game in the 1986 NCAA tournament, one game before their heartbreaking loss to Louisville. But my real love affair with the program and its home arena truly began a couple of years later, during the 1988-89 season, the first year I had cable TV and ESPN. From that year, carrying through the next 27 and counting years, I became a diehard Duke basketball fan. However, my dream of going to a Duke game or seeing Cameron Indoor Stadium with my own eyes had always been held at arm's length. The closest I had ever gotten was seeing a Duke practice when they were in San Antonio for the Final Four. I did manage one other thrill of my Duke fandom life when I got to meet Mike Krzyzewski in person at a book signing. But that is as close as I ever thought I would come to experiencing Duke basketball in person. Then came the summer of 2014. Business took me to Charlotte, North Carolina. I could not leave the area without taking a pilgrimage to Durham, Duke University, and Cameron Indoor Stadium. The drive approaching the campus was beautiful, but nothing compared to the moment I walked up Woodford Drive on the campus of Duke University and saw that old Gothic building that resonates with such basketball history. However, even more breathtaking than seeing the outside of Cameron was my first view inside the basketball arena. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to see the court. I mean, it was good enough to be inside the hallowed halls of Cameron on my way up the stairs to visit the Duke Basketball Museum. I really thought the court would be shut off to the public. But on my way up the stairs, I saw through an open doorway the empty but lit consecrated court. The view through this doorway literally took my breath away, and I think my heart might have missed a few beats as my eyes beheld the splendor of the place I had only seen on television for 27 years. Slowly, I began to step into that sacred gym, taking in every moment of my time and basking in each place my eyes focused. The bleachers and the baskets were all up and put away for the summer. There were no players running up and down the court. Coach K was not sitting in his accustomed seat, barking out orders like the military officer he had been. There were no officials, press, or even any of those famed Cameron crazies screaming their heads off, cheering for their team, and teasing the opponents. I alone stood on that court, having the entire arena to myself. But I was not alone. I could hear the echoes of ages past of the Cameron crazies going wild. As my eyes drifted across the many banners that lined the royal rafters, they stopped and focused on one lone banner that hung alone on one side of the stadium. The heart and soul of Duke basketball. The reason I became a fan. Not only the greatest coach of my generation, but perhaps the greatest coach of any generation. Mike Krzyzewski. Coach K. The winningest college basketball coach of all time. It was such a surreal moment as my eyes drifted from the banners, across the seats and the bleachers, to a spot on the floor that commemorated forever that this place belonged to Coach K. I was there. I was standing on Coach K court. And for a few moments, the echoes of past games in Cameron were silenced, and I stood there alone. No screaming fans, no players, no one but me standing on Coach K court, soaking it all in, knowing that I was experiencing a place that I had only experienced in my imagination, and I knew I would probably never experience again. Little did I know how wrong I was. "211 days after I stepped out of Cameron Indoor Stadium, I returned. Only this time, I did not come alone. Not only was I able to share the Cameron experience with my brother and nephew, this time I was not here to simply walk through those hallowed halls, step onto such a consecrated court, and observe those royal rafters. This time, I was not here simply because I was in the vicinity of Durham, North Carolina. This time, I was not simply going to bask in the glory of that storied but empty college basketball arena. This time, I, along with my brother and nephew, this time, I was here to experience Duke basketball. We were actually going to see a Duke basketball game inside Cameron Indoor Stadium. Arriving in Durham the day before the game, we wanted to see the Duke campus, the athletic complex, and of course, Cameron Indoor Stadium.
So, when you originally told me that, hey, I got an idea, Mark, what about going to a Duke game? I had already thought that and was thinking, how could that possibly be, and how could we finally figure out a way to do it? And then when you called me and said, hey, I got a birthday present.
Well, I had been there, not for a game, but in June for work, and so I had that experience of being inside Cameron Indoor Stadium, and as special as that was, it was just me, and I couldn't share that with anybody, that feeling, that excitement. So being able to do that with my brother, who's like as big a Duke fan as I am, knowing this was going to be something we really had always wanted to do.
And something we're going to remember doing for the rest of our lives.
Unfortunately for my brother and nephew, they could not experience the empty setting of Cameron that I had experienced earlier in the year.
Picked up our tickets, and then we just kind of walked around, and I remember the museum was back in the back, and we were just kind of acting like we were going to the museum, but then we saw a little
turn the
corner, and you saw the curtain, right?
It had a curtain that said like practice in progress,
yeah.
Don't go in. Little blue curtain that covered the whole doorway. And so then Uncle Steve looked in with one eye, and he moved away real fast. And then I kind of poked my head and moved the curtain a little, poked my head.
Although at the time we could not step foot inside the gym or stride across that historical court, we were able to bask in the glories of famed Blue Devil past as we browsed through the tributes and trophies of the Duke Basketball Museum. Here were the tangible memories of those great Duke basketball teams and players that I had been watching for almost 3 decades. This was the museum that commemorated those 4 national championship teams, but it also paid tribute to many of the other great Duke basketball teams and players. And then there was the wall that honored Mike Krzyzewski. As daylight began to dwindle, we left the museum to head towards the Duke store to buy a t-shirt for the next day's game. But on the way to the gift store, we had to walk around the backside of Cameron. Krzyzewskiville is a special place at Duke University. Although for this game, there were no students camping out, waiting to get into the game, it was still something special to be standing in the location where so many Cameron Crazies had spent many a freezing night. For a minute, I imagined what it would be like to be part of such an atmosphere, to be one of the Cameron Crazies. Although we did not get to experience Krzyzewskiville that night, we would find out the next day what it was like to be part of the Cameron Crazies in their environment. At the time we were looking to buy our game tickets, I had 2 choices. Buy a reserved seat where we could sit and watch the game, or buy a general admission seat where we would be crowded in the lower level wooden bleachers where we would stand the entire game. To me, there was no choice. If I were going to have my once-in-a-lifetime shot at experiencing a Duke basketball game in Cameron, then I was going to do it the right way. We were going to stand in the student section, section 17 of Cameron, and be part of the Cameron Crazies. For the rest of my life, when I see a section 17 in any arena I enter, my mind will always flash back to the memory of walking down a long, thin hallway, running the length of the gym, and emerging into the arena to feel the electricity that surrounded the inside of this great college basketball venue.
That we were actually there, standing on the floor, close to the floor, yeah, and getting to be like right there in Cameron, realizing how small it was, and it's the big hubbub of the ACC and all college basketball. And so
I call it the mecca of college basketball. I mean, it is, to me, it's the ultimate experience.
Even though this was not one of the big games in the ACC, there was still a magic feeling in the air as none of us could take our eyes off the place. Whether we were watching the players warm up, watching the other fans make their way into the gym, listening to the band, or just staring at all the banners, that hour that we stood in that gym before the game started was full of enjoyment and anticipation.
Tonight, number 4 Duke puts the nation's best 35-game win streak on the line as they welcome the Furman Paladins inside Cameron. Silliman bobbled the pass, couldn't get the shot off. Cook with the lob and the 7-footer inside.
That was a simple play, just setting up for out of bounds. But when you cut hard, you can let defense make a mistake. Quinn Cook got away with a foul now.
Okafor kicked it all the way into the first row after the power slam. Half dozen for him.
And it's a mindset, an attitude, a disposition. This is the post play again. He's taking his time. If there's a double team, he'll read it and kick it out.
He'll take it himself. Great body control. Okafor with the running one-hander. He's got 8 of Duke's 36.
Talking to Maryland's all-time shot attempt leaders. So let's temper that a little bit. Yeah, everybody has to play their role.
Up and away. The hold for the last shot. Allen a three-point threat in the far corner.
Absolutely. Watch Rasheed Suleiman as well.
Here's the kick in the feed. Got it. Just like they drew it up. Grayson Allen's first three. Duke with the same starting 5, including the freshman Okafor, sizing up his competition. Great body control and length. ACC has seen its share of the Mountain products. Jones feeds Jefferson. He is perfect tonight, folks. Emil Jefferson is 7 for 7 from the floor.
So you talk about the culture of one and done. Coach K has made the adaptability. Good pass.
An assist for Jefferson. Jaleel Okafor with 14 to match Jefferson for game high honors. 4-on-3 break. Jefferson, what a feed from Tyus Jones. Stein can run the floor.
Yeah.
He can fly.
You know what? He's the key to their defense right there.
That guy's pretty good too.
Love to see that matchup right there. Eventually we might see that matchup. Wow. Proud performance. Excellent job by Coach K. Excellent work by his team.
93 to 54.
Our Cameron experience did not end as the final buzzer sounded. In many ways, when the game was over, our true Cameron experience began.